Tweedsmuir Provincial Park in west central British Columbia is the largest park in the province. The northern part of Tweedsmuir, encompassing Utzik Lake, contains some of the most important wilderness in North America. There are no roads here, and access to this area is by boat or aircraft. This limited access creates unique problems for BC parks. In the late 1980s, a remote area of the park, the Chesco River Valley, was the scene of a phenomenon known as blowdown, where high winds literally uprooted and blew down 35 square kilometers of forest. While blowdowns do occur regularly, one this size is highly unusual.
One of the theories is that this blowdown occurred with the wind picking up speed as it came down over the east side of the coastal mountains, and as it picked up speed it got funneled between two peaks. It blew the trees down with this increased wind speed. The trees themselves were weakened by the snow melt and the soil being saturated.
A survey of the area confirmed that an enormous amount of extremely dense, dry fuel on the ground posed a great hazard for a catastrophic wildfire. Lightning-caused wildfires occur naturally and randomly in this remote area, and a large wildfire feeding on the blowdown could devastate huge areas of the park and beyond, rolling for many kilometers out of control. East of this area is important winter habitat for a major caribou herd, and an unchecked fire could damage this habitat and reduce the herd's winter food and shelter. Large blocks of valuable timber reserves adjacent to the park would also be threatened. Other concerns included commercial operations that depend upon the park for their livelihood, and a large private lodge located just outside the park's boundary. BC Parks needed a way to deal with this blowdown and eradicate the possibility of a catastrophic wildfire. Access for ground-based machinery was non-existent, timber salvage impossible, and the need to protect park values paramount. This program will examine the approach to this problem over a 2-year period. BC Parks enlisted the help of the BC Forest Service, the fire management experts responsible for dealing with wildfires in the province. After extensive on-site evaluation and research by both agencies, the conclusion was reached that a carefully planned prescribed fire, applied in the cool autumn, would replicate the beneficial aspects of natural fire, but would prevent a catastrophic wildfire from occurring during the hot, dry summer months.
We looked at this very carefully and considered all the alternatives before deciding that a prescribed fire which mimics nature naturally provides us with fire, and many areas of forest are burned. So we thought that the best way to deal with this threat to other values was by having a prescribed burn.
Once the decision was reached to go ahead with a prescribed burn, BC Parks and the BC Forest Service jointly coordinated the project. Every aspect and variable had to be considered, including the types of trees, the state of the ground fuels, the time of year, the geography, and the weather. When conditions were right, Parks and Forest Service personnel assembled near the site of the blowdown. A high-tech aerial ignition system would be used to start the fire. Helicopters were equipped with a machine that dispenses special incendiary balls that ignite 30 seconds after being dropped. This method would help keep the fire on the ground, where the majority of the tangled blowdown was located. The fire crews could then control the intensity and direction of the fire, depending on the location and amount of balls dropped. Finally, the time was right, and the helicopters headed out to their designated areas.
Yeah, it's starting to join up. It might not be a wise idea to go between the middle of them. That one's really starting to go. Yeah, it's going up. That's hot.
Well, we've been monitoring this now since the first part of August, and we've done ground checks, and we were all ready to go. And actually, this bit of cooler weather that we have was fine. We were hoping to have a little clearer, but the winds are calm and everything is working out quite well.
Again and again, the helicopters pass over. Forest Service staff on board direct the helicopter's movements and dispense the incendiary balls, shaping and moving the fire according to plan. From an observation post, Parks and Forest Service personnel monitor the results.
So far, things have gone extremely well. We're getting a convection column that we'd hoped for, and now we're just basically stripping back. We've got it divided up into 3 units, and the first unit is about 3/4 done now.
Throughout the first day, the fire burns exactly as planned and proceeds so well that the decision is made to go ahead with the final 2 stages of the burn. At dawn, following the second day of the burn, Forest Service and Parks officials head out to survey the results. As anticipated, most of the fire has burned itself out. While to the lay person, the area appears to be devastated, Forest Service and Parks officials are delighted. The object of the operation was to reduce the tangle of fuels on the ground that would feed a catastrophic wildfire. Although this area now looks unattractive, its potential for regeneration is assured.
In a year or two, what's going to happen over the winter, the snow is going to come down, compact what's behind us down on the ground a little closer. We're going to have fireweed next year coming in and encroaching in on the site, and we'll basically cover the whole site next year. It'll be nice and green. The accessibility for the animals will be increased from compaction, and the pine cones will have opened up as a result of the heat, and we'll end up with seedlings in about 2 years' time.
A full winter and spring have passed. Nature has returned, and new life is evident everywhere, nurtured in part by the nutrients the fire has left behind. The regeneration has even surprised the experts.
Well, 11 months later, we've got what we expected and more. We've got our blowdown, as we expected. Snowpack has knocked it down a lot, and it seemed to have allowed animal access. We've got fireweed that's come in a lot more than what I expected. We've got woody material growing around here that I wasn't expecting to see this early in the stage, and we are definitely picking up the little seedlings from the open cones as well. And for a season as this season, as dry as this summer, we are finding what we see here quite amazing, actually, and extremely pleased. It's a real good success.
The objective of protecting the values outside the park and the remaining caribou habitat to the east certainly have been achieved. The blowdown that was burned has been very completely burned across the valley, so that the 2,000 hectares, roughly half of the total area that we burned, has provided a cork in a bottle, if you like. And so if a fire were to get started in the unburned forest now that has blown down, it won't go anywhere. So that objective has been met superbly.
By using the same method that Mother Nature uses to renew her forests, BC Parks and the BC Forest Service have removed the potential for a catastrophic wildfire. In doing so, valuable resources and animal habitat have been protected, and Tweedsmuir Provincial Park's forest mosaic has been preserved.